All right, everybody, all you Move, Think, Smile followers, and everybody following us at our High Octane Health Businesses group. I'm Adam, and I'm here with Elia. And today, we're going to address it's one of the most frequently asked questions that we get all the time, isn't it, Elia? And that is, what's better, one-on-one or group coaching? Which is it? And I think it's a very important thing to address, Ellie, because, as health coaches and practitioners, I mean, we don't become this, right? We don't go out there and want to intentionally hurt our clients' results, right?
Yeah,
And if you're
absolutely.
asking, right, and if you're asking what's better, group or one-on-one, it usually means that you care, right? That you
Yeah.
care, that you want to serve the clients at your highest level. You want to give them the best of you that you can, make sure you have the most impact with them, that they're getting the results they want. But what's interesting is that, this thought of one-on-one, which comes from way, way back, right? Way, way back in the terms of health and wellness, the terms of coaching and that kind of stuff, it's actually hurting things. It could actually hurt things on a couple of different levels. And I think in order to dissect this question, that this one question, which is better, needs to be two questions, right, that we have to answer. What's better for the client, and which one is better for the coach? And so that's exactly what we're going to be doing today, guys. We're going to dive in and talk about the battle for results, one-on-one versus group coaching. And I think what we're going to start with is, Elia can kind of answer this because she's really good at working with a lot of people. And that is, why do we believe, Elia, that one-on-one is going to produce better results for our clients? Because, I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, I think for most coaches, they feel like that they need to have this very specific information about what's happening with the client. They need to have that one-on-one time. They need to have that assessment. They need to have all of these things, and that won't be useful to any other client. And so, again, I think we fall into this thing that we only need to have this one-on-one time so that we can really figure out what the problem is. And it's actually just not the case. There are many other ways to get some of that kind of bio-individual information, but it doesn't need to happen in a one-on-one setting.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's like if I'm working just with Elia, I can give my entire focus to her,
Yeah.
right? And she's going to walk away more empowered. She's going to take action with her health. She's going to do all these things. But there are some inherent, very hidden threats to the whole one-on-one thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to dissect those. And I think, Ellie, the first one is, from a business standpoint, and we'll get to that one in a second, but from a business standpoint is that, it's a transactional model.
Yeah.
You're charging for your time. And so what ends up happening is you only have so much time you can do. If you want to charge for your time, you've got to be kind of in the realms of what everybody else is charging for their time. So there's a limit on how much you can actually charge and make for most people. And often this ends up wearing down the health coach or the practitioner to the point where, they're starting to burn out and it's not just working really well. And so if the
Yeah.
health coach is burning out, what's happening to their power?
Yeah. Well, their power is decreasing. They're not as effective. And, again, we want to be able to show up powerfully and strong and clear-minded for our clients. And so when we're running ourselves ragged like this, it doesn't serve the client. So that's something that we really have to wrap our head around in the sense, especially because we are living in this culture that, we get praised for doing more and running ourselves ragged. And we think that less is less, but really less is more.
Right. So the brain's going, no, 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 no. If I work with Elia one-on-one, she's going to have, because I can give her all of me, all of me. But because your time is limited and you do have a business that needs to have a healthy bottom line, you can
Yep.
only spend an hour with her, maybe if you're lucky, twice a month, maybe 3 times a month. So in between these giant breaks of 2 weeks, maybe even a full month before you're working with them again one-on-one, what's happening? Are they getting support that they need? Are they getting the accountability they need to actually put into action the things that you talked about?
Yeah.
Do they actually have the ability to be compliant? Because they're meeting with you one-on-one because they want to transform their health. They want to be healthier, whatever their problem is. It could be something, on a mass scale like weight gain, which is huge, or it could be something more targeted like osteoporosis or cirrhosis of the liver or something like that. That's why they're working with you. But do you
Hmm.
really think that, in that 60 minutes that you're with that person, that they're going to take action with everything you said if you don't get to talk to them again for another 30 days?
It's it's really, really tough for most people. Really, really tough. And again, you got to think about, you get this person for 1 hour, and the chaos of the world and the stress and the bad choices and the old habits have them for the zillion other hours that are left in the
Right.
month. And
Right.
so, yeah, this is really, really tough. And it does not serve the client.
And if you break down that hour, so the first 10 minutes is always like, okay, how's it been going? Where you
Yep.
been? Let's catch up. Then you have maybe 40 minutes or maybe even 35 minutes of actually diving into stuff, right? And uncovering stuff, figuring out what the plan is. And then the last 15 to 10 minutes, you're like watching the clock, the time, to make sure that you wrap things up so you can get to the next person or get to your next meeting or whatever it is. So are you really serving the client if you're working with them one-on-one? Are you really serving them at your highest level if you're working? It makes sense because they have all of you. But if they walk away and they don't get any of you for another couple weeks or let alone a month or two, are they really going to have the results that you're helping them deliver? And the answer is usually no.
Yeah.
Usually no. And so another thing that ends up happening is because we're in this transaction-based model, you can only bill for so many hours in a given week before you break in half and you lose your sanity, right?
Yeah.
So your bottom line is not as healthy as it can be because you're stuck charging an hourly rate that needs to fit somewhere into the model that everybody else is charging where you're working at. And then you have a limited amount of time. I mean,
Yeah.
even if you're like charging $200 an hour, right, which is usually pretty high, or heck, you can even take it to $500 an hour, and you're working 40 hours a week, 40 times 200, what is that going to be? All right, so it's like, oh, cool, that's I don't know, 8 grand a month. All right, cool, or 8 grand a week. All right, at first it sounds great. Then multiply that as four, that's 32 grand a month. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But you're working 40 hours a week with clients one-on-one at $200 an hour. And I can tell you, you're probably also putting in another 20 hours a week just managing things,
Yeah.
right? So you're working 60 hours a week. You're beat by the time you get home. You're brain dead. You're coming up. You're not showing up at full throttle, right? You're not putting high octane gas into the business. You're not putting high octane gas into that meeting with the client.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, what seemed like a really good idea isn't working like we thought it was. Is it, Elia?
No, not to mention the time you need to market your business. And if you have staff or people that help you, or you hire a VA or whatever it is, you need time to help manage those people.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot that goes into this. And so, yeah, it's not just the hours you're seeing people, for sure. And a lot of times we forget that, right? Or we sort of, humans are notorious for thinking that things are not going to take as long as they actually do. And so that's when we tend to get ourselves into a pile of work that we feel like we can never dig out of.
Yeah. So let's talk about, okay, so that's kind of like the one-on-one side. Like, it sounds like a great idea, but if you really look under the covers, it's not as powerful as it could be. Now let's look at group coaching, okay? And we talk about group coaching, we're talking about working with your clients in a group setting. It doesn't matter what health or wellness specialty you're in, but we're talking about in a group setting. Now, obviously, there are some things that you can only do privately. Like if you have to do a lab test with somebody, that's something you have to do privately. I get that. But if you're really helping people overcome a chronic health problem, a disease of lifestyle, does it need to be one-on-one? And do you need to be sacrificing your time for that? Or can you have better results in group coaching? So let's take a look at this.
Yeah.
So when we started Move Think Smile back in 2013, we came out of the gate, we were doing one-on-one. Ellie was doing most of the one-on-one sessions, about 100, $150 an hour. I think we were making maybe $1,200 a month, which is really tough to get a family of four to live off of. And then we discovered the power of group coaching. And here's what happens is, instead of somebody having access to you once a month, they have access to you at minimum once a week in a group setting. Think about this. So let's say you've got some clients. We've got one guy called Chad over here, and we've got another woman called Jessica over here, right? They're in it together. And Chad asks a question, or he's like, Adam, Elia, I'm having a problem with this. all of a sudden, Jessica, who hasn't said anything yet, is listening. The judge is like, that's a question I never thought about asking. And so she's learning from him. Then all of a sudden, this energy starts to raise together, and the accountability is there because you're having FaceTime with your entire tribe, right? And they're pulling each other up together because now it's just not accountability with you, but it's accountability with everybody in the group because they all want to succeed. No one wants to be that weak link. It's like, I came in here, I'm fatigued, I've got anxiety, I'm burning out. That's who we specialize with. And, I don't want to be there anymore. And so now that they have access with you all the time, and there's a very simple way to do this to where you're only working with your clients a total of 6, maybe 10 hours a week. Now, granted, for some of you, you will need to have some private sessions in there because you're talking about some HIPAA compliance things. There's some lab tests and things like that. I get that, but you can really minimize those to maybe those could be like once a month, 15 minutes here, 30 minutes there. But your bulk of your time is going to be in this group setting online. Now, all of a sudden, right? Go ahead, Ellie.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, and here's kind of the problem and the solution that's provided with group coaching is that the one-on-one, we often fall into this special snowflake mentality, which is like, I have this problem and I'm all alone, and I have, diabetes. Diabetes is something that has happened to me, and I feel victimized by my diabetes. And so again, we get this like it's just a kind of a poor me relationship. When we hop into group coaching, what tends to happen is we start to see everybody else upping their game, and there's a competitive thing that can start to pop in. So Adam, as you were saying, that kind of rising of everyone, well, there's also this thing of, if Chad can do it, well, I can do it. And if Jessica can do it, well, then I can do it. And so there is this multiplier that happens where it gets out of, what am I sitting around having a pity party for? Look at this person who has this problem. Look at them. Look at that. And so what it tends to do is it tends to minimize our focus on the problem, and it tends to maximize our focus on look at what everybody else is doing and how they're handling it and how they're moving forward.
Exactly. I think what's crazy here, Ellie, is that no one's really talking about the group coaching model. Like if you go and you look at the health coaching schools, the wellness programs, the medical schools and stuff like that, they're really, really focused on this one-on-one transactional based system, right? Mm-hmm. It's all about the transactions, about trading time for money. And what you guys have, and this is not true for every industry, but especially in this group, in health and wellness, you have these incredible powers to really help people overcome a major health or wellness problem. And it doesn't matter what it is. If someone is not up to par with their health, their energy is low, they're not operating at full potential. And if you can help them get that back, even just a tiny bit of it, to help them feel better so they have more impact with their own tribe, their own family, their own kids, their colleagues, their friends, then that's when you're really getting out there and you're having that massive impact. So you can actually impact more people in a group setting than you can one-on-one. You have more impact with more people, plus the impact you have is greater with them. And there's a lot of reasons for this. Mostly because you're interacting with them at least once a week. Yeah. Maybe more, maybe twice a week. It's not like an every 2 week or an every month kind of thing, right? And then there's consistent action going on there. And if you do it the right way and you set it up, then 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they have access to the group in some form or fashion. So there's always continual change and accountability every day. So your clients actually have bigger results in a shorter amount of time. It's absolutely amazing. And on top of that, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and I just want to mention, you said ripple effect. And I also want to point out that the more clients you can work with in a group setting, once you shift their health, guess what? That's rippling out into their families, into the people that they speak to. And so again, your reach is it is 100 times amplified.
Right. So this is what we're going to call a triple win. It's a trifecta. So the win number one is what everybody is concerned about. Are my clients going to have better results?
Yes.
We can say it without a doubt. Yes, we proved it time and time again. We proved it with our own, business clients that we've worked with. They're setting up group coaching programs. They're excelling. They're getting people that are calling up saying, "Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to keep working with you. This is absolutely amazing." That's the first win. And that's the one that we're most concerned about because that's the integrity, right?
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
what we want to do with. That's why we love it, because this is a very worthy discussion, talking about how to have better results with your clients. Now, there happens to be two other wins along with this. Number two, you're not burning out. And if you know what I'm talking about, right? You're not
Yep.
out there pounding the pavement, getting the schedule, talking on the phone all the time, trying to arrange people, okay, this person canceled, that person no showed, where are they at, tracking them down, trying to manage credit cards on all this kind of crap, right?
Yep.
You're not burning out. You show up at the same time every week, they're in there, and then they make progress. And you have more free time.
Hmm.
I would say that's a pretty big win, Elia.
Yeah, that's a huge win.
It's a huge one. And then number three, your business, when done properly, will have a much healthier bottom line. And why is that? Why will your business have a much healthier bottom line?
You're not burning out.
Well, you're not
That's
burning
really.
out, but you could also work with more people,
Hmm.
right? You're no longer limited to the constraints of time. And if you're actually out there and you're charging for the transformation instead of the information, this is what a lot of people get mistake. They want to get out there and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to charge, $300 for my program," or whatever it is. And they're charging for information. They're not looking at it as the transformation. You're helping somebody transform their house. So now you get into the realm of the $3,000, the $5,000, the $10,000 programs. And right now you're going, "Adam, who's going to pay for that for their health?" A lot of people.
Hmm.
I can show you 157 million people right now, according to the statistics, that are willing to do this, right? But they've never had anything like this offered to them, right? It's out there. We prove it all the time. So if you're working with more people, oh yeah, and guess what? You're no longer, and if you're doing this online, and you take it virtually, guess what? You're no longer constrained to the little rural town that you might live in, right? Where
Yeah.
nobody wants to take care of their health, nobody wants to pay for this, nobody wants to work with me. I'm only worth we literally enrolled a physical therapist from the United Kingdom today and into our business program, and she was telling me I've got this physical therapy background. I got a doctor of physical therapy. I am a what was it? Nationally certified Pilates teacher and all this stuff. She's got a studio, and she's like, "Yeah, I can only charge 45 pounds for a session. And if 3 people show up, they pay 15 pounds each. Or if one person shows up, it's 45 pounds. So I only make 45 pounds. It doesn't matter how many people show up.
Hmm. Right.
I make 45 pounds, and that's like 50, $55 per
Right.
class. Per
Wow.
class. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, no wonder you're tired of doing this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you can now get rid of that, and you can turn it into more of hey, it's a one-time fee. Trust me, it's a bargain compared to what they have been paying. And now you no longer have to work with the people. Oh, and she was also telling me, it's like, yeah, none of the people here will pay more than that. And when they come in, they bitch and they complain that they don't want to stretch. They don't want to do these things, that, my husband's a jackass, and, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it's just such a tough model to work with in this kind of like one-on-one setting, or,
Yeah.
or this like small group setting, like 3 people locally kind of deal. So now all of a
Yeah.
sudden, you expand outside of, and she lives in a rural town. Nobody wants to do it. You expand outside of that, right? Which is super cool.
Yeah.
You're not confined to an office anymore. You're not confined to a schedule. You get to set the schedule. Yes, you do need to show up. Yes, you should have at least once a week, if not more than maybe twice a week, of getting together with your clients and being there in a group setting. So the battle for results, one-on-one versus group coaching. Elia, who would you say the winner is?
Oh, ding, ding, ding. Group coaching.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
yeah, 100%. And to really stack on what you were saying, Adam, is, now more than ever, it's become more the norm to be online, to take your program online, to be interacting with people virtually because of the pandemic and everything that's happened in the last year. A lot of people were like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to go online. I don't know. It feels impersonal." Well, now we've been forced to, and it has become more of the norm, and it's only going to become even more of the norm. And so it's really important to start getting used to this so that you can reach more people. And I can tell you what, I think that really realizing that your pond is not just where you live is a huge moment of just oh, wow. Wow. My pond just got much, much bigger.
Yeah.
And then I think the other thing that can often stop people when they think about one-on-one, and maybe this is something we should chat about in another live, Adam, is then what we hear is people worry, well, how do I manage a group?
Yeah.
How do I manage the coaching process? How do I manage the group?
Yeah.
Especially if your health coach's training really didn't give you the tools to manage a group and only gave you the tools to really work with people one-on-one.
Right. The model is super simple. You do it
Mm-hmm.
online, you do it in Zoom. Now there's some stuff that goes into it, right? You need to know how to do it. You need to know how to do it right. So let's do a quick recap, Ellie. So one-on-one. At first, it appears powerful because
Well, you get all your attention to that one
to
client.
that,
They get every little last ounce of your attention.
and it makes sense. But the
Hmm.
reality is
It doesn't work. You burn out.
you burn out because that client isn't getting the results as quickly or as powerfully as they could be because they only have your attention once a month, maybe twice a month, maybe twice a month. And in between those big breaks, they're dealing with their own family. They're dealing with all this stuff. There's not a whole lot of accountability going on. They don't have access to you to ask questions or how to do things. Or if they do, they'll send you an email. You get to it 4 or 5 days later because you're so busy working one-on-one with other people. So one-on-one, it can be very destructive for your client results because it will burn you out. It limits the amount of income that your business can come in. It limits your profitability. And it's just not a triple win situation. On the other hand, if you like that triple win trifecta we're talking about, group coaching offers these three things. Elliot, one, it drastically increases your client outcomes because
Well, because the whole group raises the group. It's kind of like, think about it. It's like takes a village to raise a child, right? It really takes a village to help people transform their health.
exactly. And they have access to you weekly, if not
Hmm.
bi-weekly, right? And then because the group is going through the entire process together for the same goal, they have access to other people in the group on a daily basis, right? And a setting.
Yep.
And this is how you just got to set it up really, really simple. And then the second win is, well, it frees up way more of your time. Way more of your time. You're no longer bound to being in a box, a brick office. You're no longer bound to meeting, even if you're just doing virtual meetings right now, you're no longer bound to a schedule, right? A daily schedule. You don't have to sit there and figure out, okay, how am I to get my next client? How many one-on-ones do I have to have? How many can I do? How many can I do before I fall apart, and limit my time? And when you're doing that, when you're working all the time, it decreases your power, right? Group
Hmm.
coaching, because you're working less, increases your ability because you're showing up full throttle, 1,000%, right? And that's what we want. That's what we want. And then number three, well, it allows your business to have a healthy bottom line. It allows you to grow much faster because you're not limited to the constraints of your daily schedule. How many hours are in a day or how many hours in a week? How many hours can I pump in here before I just can't do it anymore? That's no longer a
Yeah.
problem. And you're not confined to geography if you're doing it online.
Hmm.
If you're doing it online.
Yeah.
So, on that note, guys, if any of this sounds interesting to you and you'd like to see if you are a candidate to develop a very, very simple group coaching model for your health business, your health coaching business, or if you're a health practitioner, you want to get out there and you want to your integrity, your heart's in the right place. You want to get out there and make this world a better place. And you're like, this one-on-one thing just isn't jiving for me. And if it is or isn't, it all sounds kind of cool. But for most people, they get to the point, they'll do it some people will do it for 6 months. They're like, this isn't for me. That's what kind of happened with us. Or some people will do it for 10 or 20 years. Like the lady we just enrolled into our business program. She's like, I've been doing it
Hmm.
for 20 years. She's like, I can't do this anymore. I
Yeah.
got the kids to deal with. I got everything else. And it's just like my income has been locked at 20,000 a year for the past 20 years. I can't make any more than that. And I'm sick and tired of being there. I'm like, you've been doing this
Yeah.
for 20 years and you've been locked in at 20. She's like, that's the rate, 45 pounds an hour. That's what I make. And I can only put so many hours into a week. And that's where I'm at. And I cannot grow past that. Guys, if
Yeah.
you'd like to get rid of all that nonsense, and I know it sounds crazy, but the truth is you don't need to work one-on-one. You can have a group program. Come on over to movethinksmile.com, grow, pick a time on a calendar, chat with myself, chat with Elia. Let's see where you're at with your business. And let's see if we can really help you scale. All right. Help you reach a lot more people. Attract amazing clients into your health and wellness business, people you love working with, right? Those ones who are showing up compliant, right? They're not
Hmm.
complaining. They're not making any excuses. They're decisive. They're
Yeah.
committed to fixing this problem and working with you, and they're super resourceful, and they find a way to hire you. If that sounds at all something like that might be interesting to you, then you're probably going to want to sit down and have a chat with us to see if we might be a good fit to help your business do that. Come on over to movethinksmile.com/grow. And on that note, Elia, any parting shots?
Oh, I think, it's really just, I want to encourage everybody to really consider the group coaching model because it is just astronomical. It's amazing. And I want to share with everyone that, I've had one of our clients, as we were sort of in our other fatigue program, bringing some clients in and clients going out, there was, a smaller number in the group. And he's going, man, I miss the larger numbers of the group. Like, I really enjoy having everyone here. And to me, that was, again, another testimonial that, it wasn't just me saying that I like group coaching and that's what's easiest for me. So that's what we're going to do. It was our clients saying, I love it when there are a lot of people here.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? And that's a great example because, when you're working one-on-one, you'll have some people come in who will just not be having a good day. They don't mean to, but they'll be an energy vampire and they're just
Hmm.
going to suck the energy right out of you. When they show up in a group model, right, to one of your group sessions, guess what? They don't suck the energy away. They come in, but then they start getting energy from everybody else,
Yep.
right? And they snap out of it a lot faster. That group model is so much more powerful for so many reasons. It is
Yeah.
a true win for the client, win for the coach, right? And win for the business. I cannot stress this enough. So guys, if this is all sounds like something interesting to you, and I know it sounds kind of dreamy, I only got to work with my clients 6 to 10 hours a week in total. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It can happen. It's happened for us. It's happened for all the business clients we work with. Come on over to movethinksmile.com/grow. Schedule a time and let's chat. And until then, guys, we'll see you in the next episode. Take care, everybody.